I'm Bonnie Salomon. I've been working with Dr. Michael for several years. And those of you who know Dr. Michael know what a miracle he is in everyone's life. He is a trendsetter and someone who sometimes I think is not does not live on the earthly realm. He's just absolutely the divine masculine, and it's just an honor to be with him this day. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to introduce Dr. Michael Semeka and let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you for those words. And thank you. She's the one that actually facilitated this. This is her Zoom account. And so the number that I gave out for everybody to sign in is actually her account. I do not have one yet, but apparently, if this goes well, I'm going to get one. So, first off, I want to welcome everybody here on the talk. And my intention of doing this is manyfold, but the biggest one is that by the time we're done here, that you're going to have a much greater understanding of how to navigate during these times. Before I even start with that, I want to give you a background about who I am and how I got to be here, and just tell you a little bit about my background. I've been in private practice since 1993, and I've had a passion toward empowerment. And I do my best to help my clients deal with the catastrophes of life. Catastrophes, chaos, these things are going to happen. It's not necessarily something that you have done, or it's just part of life. And so what I'm very, very good at is something that I term personal responsibility. And the way I see it, and this is important, it's more about the quality of how you respond to the situations than what you do. That is actually lost in our society. I spend a tremendous amount of energy helping people with the quality of their participation. And a lot of my quote unquote psychotechnologies that I've developed since 1993 are all around that. It's like a little insidious little secret. You know, the languaging is very important. It helps you have a better mindset. And so, to say differently, the energy in which you do something actually contributes to the overall utility of that something. And in our society, we're so focused on what those somethings are, and we don't really spend a lot of time on the quality of them. I've developed all these psychotechnologies that actually help you delve deeply into the quality, and nothing is more timely than right now. We need the quality right now more than ever. So I have developed Catalyst, which is a bodywork discipline approach. I'm a licensed chiropractor, hence the name Doctor and the Dr. Michael. From Catalyst and these concepts of working with the body, I've created many, many psychotechnologies: guardianology, thrivopeutics, successions, greaterness coaching, forward healing. Recently, because of this time, I came up with this idea of the immune building brigade, and even that led to what now I'm affectionately calling the leadership support network, which, by the way, I feel that's what this is. I believe this is actually the leadership support network. And the idea here is who heals the healer. And the way I'm thinking about healing these days, it's who leads the leader. And so I want to get into this right now, because right here, right now, I'm going to share as honestly as I can about what I think we can all be doing right now to be at our best. Again, not just what we do, but how to actually encourage us to be at our best. And quite honestly, I honestly believe we're being led there anyway. I don't believe that this social distancing is the right terminology, because what's happening is that we're being led to be alone. And even while we're alone, a lot of us are fatigued. Maybe we're anxious, doesn't matter what the word is. The noise is going on from all the media. And so we're having to learn how to stop. And stopping is a very, very important practice. And I actually have a thing called active stopping. So, but we'll get all into that. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I did want to say that for me, this is a lot more than about having a positive attitude or a positive mindset. And don't get me wrong, that's very, very, very important. But you need to have an application for the positive mindset. And that's where a lot of my work comes in, is to help you focus on your participation. I believe that the challenges we're facing right now, we have 100% responsibility in how we are going to respond to this. And honestly, the reason I'm doing this call, I'm going to come right out and tell you that the work that I have been developing for almost 30 years now is based on helping you be better, stronger. And no time is that more apparent than right now. I believe if you can sit with what I'm saying for the next hour and just be with it, no rush, don't pressure yourself, just be with it. Stop. Your immune system will be stronger if you allow these words to just come in. And it's a natural thing. And it's something just by hearing these words, hearing my voice, hearing these concepts. This is not some crazy idea that I've just come up with recently, so that you know this stuff is time tested. Back in 1994 and 95, when I first started this, I was doing these what I called quality of life surveys, and I would have people fill out these quality of life surveys, and they're basic questions about every aspect monitoring your quality of life. And the questions are basically, are you significantly better, modestly better, about the same, modestly worse, or significantly worse? Well, I have hundreds of these where everybody is modestly better or significantly better. No one stays the same. No one is modestly worse or significantly worse. That batting average is what keeps me going. What keeps me motivated, so much so that I actually stopped doing them because it was becoming egoic. You know, there's no reason to keep going. The percentage is there. The people have spoke. This approach is very, very, very effective. More importantly, it's effective for building immune system function. And I believe that if we can really create this movement, truly the leadership support network, where we are the network, we are what makes the network. If we are stronger as an individual, we will be stronger as a collective, and this virus will have less effect on us because we'll have stepped up and developed our immunity. And so that's the promise of what I'm doing. And what I want to share with you, also very, very important here, is that please know that all these ideas are just basically concepts. They're nothing more than just concepts. As concepts, they have an incredible potential, but they're only concepts. Now, what I have observed is that when people play with these concepts and actually work with these concepts, they're no longer concepts anymore. Then they become strong resources, sources of support, and they will help you build your immune system. Now, I don't know how strong your immune system can be, but I do know that in times like these, since we're washing our hands so thoroughly and we're alone anyway, there are other things that we can be doing to help the collective, to help ourselves get stronger individually, and then as a society, as a culture. And so with that being said, I want to talk about the title, because there were some people who are like, what the hell is that? I mean, sovereign mysteries. And so I use this title for a very important reason, not just to make a teaser, for it to be intriguing, which I know it was, but the real intention of why I am going with authentic leadership for the sovereign mysteries. So I want to talk about this because I think unpacking that will really help you get an understanding of where we're going in the balance of the time we have. So, the sovereign, just so that you know, is supreme power. When it's like a king, if you're exerting, or queen, if you're exerting supreme power, then you are a sovereign. Okay, you have to understand the ultimate authority. And the word mystery in that term really implies the fact that you have power over something that you have no idea what it's going to be. And that's a real interesting little paradox about having complete dominion over a mystery. But I want to unpack that because I think that's probably the most significant component about what we're facing right now, is the unknown. Okay, so let me see if I can, really try to make this as succinct as I possibly can for you. Okay, so I use the phrase TBR. It means to be revealed. We are all in a process. I believe the word sovereign can be synonymous, believe it or not, with uniqueness, because we all have dominion over our own uniqueness. We have complete sovereignty, ownership, leadership, supreme power over who we are. However, who we are is not who we could be. The real game, the real adventure is in our emergence. It's in when we give birth to ourselves. And just like a mother, when she has a baby inside of her and she hasn't given birth yet, she has no idea what this baby's going to look like, what this baby's going to like, dislike, strengths, weaknesses, predilections. And I wanted to really highlight that as we emerge, we too are TBR'd, to be revealed. And we start to discover who our greater self is, or the next version of us, if you will. I use the term succession to show that it's successive. So please forgive me if I'm being very, very nonlinear, but just sit with me right now and don't worry about getting this. If it may seem a little cryptic for some of you, that's fine. Just sit with me. It's all I ask, is just breathe, sit with me. Just because this is the first time you're hearing it, you really are basically going to suck at being able to follow along because it's new. But my promise to you is when you hear it a second time, it becomes more familiar, a third time more familiar, and it's very, very, very empowering information. So please, as crazy as this might sound, I have your back. Okay, just sit with me for a little bit. Okay, so since we're giving birth to ourselves anyway, and we're in a continuous process, and we are in a continuous process, that's one of the reasons why I've developed terms like thrivepeutics or greaterness or even forward healing, because it's all about stepping well into your newer, here it is, unknown version of yourself, the mystery. And for a lot of people, it's hard to go into the mystery. It's hard not knowing. This time has really triggered a lot of people, and there's a lot of angst. But here's a little thing that I want to just tell you, a little secret. We've always been in the mystery. It's just right now being rubbed in our face. Always we're in a place where we are as fragile every single day, even when there is no coronavirus, than we are right now. So please, keep in mind that what we're dealing with right now, as difficult as it is for some people, it's something that needs to be dealt with anyway, whether there is a coronavirus or no coronavirus or some threat. So I'm going to help you really navigate these times. So let me give you a little bit of the background now, the neurological component, because this is critical. It's very, very important. So what's happening here is that people are really literally out of their center. Most people are behaving from more of a, let's just call it a reptilian brain, okay, or a primitive brain. It's more like reactive. So we're losing, believe it or not, our higher brain, the prefrontal cortex, where we function higher and better. Now, interestingly, get a load of this. The way we get to our prefrontal cortex is by stopping. So we're actually being directed by life right now to stop, to get quiet. And I believe that's why some of us are fatigued or tired, is that we have got to stop the noise. Why? Something new has to come in. We're going to heal as a planet. There's no doubt about that. But it's going to come through a combination of strategies. Some of those strategies are going to come through the creative channels of each sovereign, unique individual. So we need people to step up as individuals, as sovereigns, and emerge mysteriously into somebody they do not even know who they are, but they're at least understanding that they have got to begin this process of embracing this next phase of your life, which is a mystery. Okay? So the idea is to go confidently into the mystery. All right, please follow with us, because I know people are they're very, very uncomfortable, and they want the sameness and the sameness and the sameness, and nothing about life is going to be the same again anyway. Even if this goes back to quote unquote normal, it's not going to be the same normal that we've ever remembered before this hit. And why? Because so many new ideas are going to emerge, and purposefully and timefully, it's time for this to happen. So please, we are all part of the collective wholeness. When we embrace the quality of our contribution, all of us, We are significantly better for it. And more importantly, I really want you to get this. The peoples whose lives we touch are significantly better for it. So I'm going to just take a second here and breathe, just because that was a lot of information, and I just don't think it would be conducive to just go and go and go and go. So on that, just do me a favor and breathe with me, if you will. I really do attribute my success to being a creative thinker, and people who know me know that I'm also a musician. I love music, written like over 600 songs. So the mania is alive and well. I am a mania in a lot of what I do. I'm not just a mania in creating incredibly awesome psychotechnologies that work. All you have to do is unpack them and play with them yourself. But I just continue to go, and I track it back to the Beatles. I was a major fan of the Beatles growing up in the 60s. I am a 60-year-old man who's just about hitting my stride right now for the first time. And I was impressed, like everybody was of my generation, on how they kept recreating themselves from the time that I Want to Hold Your Hand was number one and they were on Ed Sullivan, on up to when Revolver came out, right? And then Sgt. Pepper and White Album. It just kept on going. And I think we were all very blown away by the output, the creative output, and how they stayed on their own cutting edge. And I believe that that's me. I believe that's what caused me to continue to write so many songs myself. And now, even in my private practice, why I create so many new psychotechnologies continuously is because I have a great appreciation for creative output. Okay. So I'm constantly trying to come up with something that's newer, more juiced, as we like to say. And I love finding newer concepts or ideas. But even more exciting than that is finding newer applications for actually integrating those ideas. So it's very, very practical. And I believe that if we just stay with human sovereignty for a while, the fact that we can always improve has to be, without a doubt, our greatest gift as humans. So independent of what you may be going through, and believe me, I know a lot of people out there are going through some difficult times. My sister, God love her, is out there, and I know she struggles. She's dealing with NMO, and it's just you can't even imagine what it's like to have so much pain day in and day out, and where the needle has moved. But independent of all of that, we can still improve, independent of how well we're doing today in resolving whatever catastrophes we're facing. That's what I call thrivopeutics, by the way. That thriving is independent of how you would assess your own state of health, whether you think it's great, whether you feel the way you want to feel, or you don't feel the way you want to feel. I'd like to see people thrive in feeling poorly, if that's the cards that they're dealing with. So I've come up with that terminology. So currently I'm working on a plethora of ideas. This leadership support network I'm very excited about, because I think it's important that we do come together. The idea of networking, let's make the net work. Let's all come together and mesh together and all make our sovereign contribution. I think that that's really, really important. And please, let's do this together. And I also see the word network as twofold, because I can see this thing blowing up, and I hope it does. And I also hope you'll help me blow this up, because I think things that most people don't think. I'm saying things that most people don't say, and I clearly see the utility in it. Clinically, doing this 27 plus years and having the kind of retention, the kind of success that I've had, I mean, it's clear to me that I'm on the right track. Okay, so it's all new to you. I get it, but stay with me. We're going places. And this idea of a leadership support network, can you imagine this if this was a network, a channel on cable, or even a digital channel or something, where it's about people helping people? Or how about this? People inspiring people to help people, and where they're emerging in their own sovereignty. And as we're doing this, I promise you, we are getting stronger. We are not weaker when we move forward, when we emerge, when a new version of us supersedes an old version of us. We're living the fullness of our life, and we are walking in that sovereign mystery. That phrase is very near and dear to my heart. So what I'm looking for right here from each and every one of you, and I'm going to give you some strategies, I promise. This isn't going to be just listening to Dr. Michael rant. But, stick with these ideas and these concepts to whatever degree you can. Focus on your own emergence authentically, right? We call it authentic leadership. You hear the term leadership, and we quickly take it into corporate. And let me tell you right now, what we're seeing in corporate is some interesting forms of leadership. Okay, I'm in touch with all the different iterations that leadership is going through right now, and some of it, little, is inspiring. A lot of it is very reactive and fear-based, and everybody's trying to hang on to or make the absolute most money they can at the same time, show some sense of humanity, of caring. But you can feel the disconnect. It's not really working. So my idea of leadership, please bear with me again, is to role model the solution. So say, for instance, if you're working for somebody whose leadership is a little, let's say, less than inspiring. Not that that could ever happen, because even if it was bad, it still inspires you to be better, believe it or not. You can't change them, but everything is inspiring, whether you consider it to be a negative form of inspiration or a positive form of inspiration. So if you don't like the way something is, go out there and be the solution. If you like the way something is, go out and emulate it, right? Either way, it's inspiring. But what we're seeing, and what I'm seeing specifically right now, is that the leaders are not able to handle the mystery very well. People are trying to pretend as if they know what's going on, and the pretending is not being bought. We're not buying the bluff, and to try to make things seem like, everything is the way it was beforehand. Just go out there and do whatever X, Y, and Z, continue to do whatever you do in your business. And, we're going to work from home and all is well, and this too shall pass, which is true. But the reality is, what we're needing today is real leadership that says, I am going to contribute better to my own emergence, whatever that is, and I'm going to share this newer version of myself to whatever that is, so that, get a load of this, I can enjoy the greater peace for knowing that I'm doing that. That's going to be an immune boost. Just by you answering your own calls and supporting your own emergence, your immune system is going to go through the roof. But more importantly, and this is a big one, like with the immune building brigade, when you do something for somebody else, and my idea of the immune building brigade is pick up the phone, call somebody whose immune systems are compromised. My friend Fred Jerry, he's on this call too. He's the one, he inspired me. He gets me on the phone. He goes, I'm really worried about the older people whose immune systems are compromised. And I'm thinking about, like, my sister or anybody else whose immune systems are compromised because they're going through whatever health challenges they're going through. And I'm thinking, like, wow, imagine if you pick up the phone and just be like, hey, just trying to check in, tell you I love you. Not any of this like, hi, I just want to call and say, are you okay? You're not going outside. We're not going to do that. Everybody's doing that. Kids are calling their parents, promise me you're not going to blah, 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 blah. This is not how you boost someone's immune system, by making sure that they're protecting themselves, believe me, that stuff is important. But if you focus on immune building and you're going to join this immune building brigade, you call for the sake of sharing the love. Hey, just want to tell you I love you, appreciate you so much. I know it's crazy times, I know, but I just wanted to let you know that you're important to me. Now, the older that people are, the more likely that their nervous systems are compromised. But here's another one. The more likely that's going to mean the world to them. They are going to get such a boost. So if you're really worried about older people or about people whose immune systems are compromised, pick up the phone in the right energy that will actually boost their immune system. Here's the fun part. You do that, you hang up the phone, you knocked it out of the park, your immune system goes up as well. It's a win-win-win-win-win across the board. You hold yourself to a higher standard just by serving others. Please get this, please understand. And because this immune building brigade was something that I came up with, thank you, Fred Agee, This is where this came from. I was talking with Bonnie about who heals the healer. And so we were talking about like having some kind of healing support network, right? And it was like, well, not everybody really relates to the word healers, but boy, are we all leaders. And boy, as soon as she said that, I was like, wow, leader support network. That's it. That really is it. And we can talk about leading by example and getting out there and doing what you have to do or can do to make the world a better place for yourself and for everybody whose lives you touch. And again, this is a key time to do this, because if you can follow this model that I'm putting out there, you will up your immune system and all the immune systems of everybody whose lives you touch. And that is worth how many hand washings? I mean, seriously, how many disinfectants, how many sanitizing can we possibly do to enhance our own, I like the term personal immunity, or how about the immunity of the collective? If you can stop to the point that you have real stillness, boom, you just upped your immune system. And even more importantly, you're going to be able to make a greater contribution to the collective, because the greatest ideas, the most incredible creative ideas that have the highest level of utility, is going to come from the quiet. It's going to come from the stillness. Be still and know that I am God, right? So if you can really recognize that we're being called to do this now, then you can see that it's not just a virus that was unleashed into the earth. What was actually unleashed into the earth was the solution on how we handle this. And so we rewrite who we are. We rewrite what our contributions are going to be to humanity, right? And we rewrite, this is the bigger thing, the level of immunity that the culture gets to experience. So something like this cannot happen again, because we're going to be stronger because of it. See, we all know that we're in this together. That actually chokes me up when I think about it, that we're in this together. It gets me really right in the kishkis. But knowing that we're in this together, and then stepping up and making your sovereign, unique contribution creatively as you emerge. And I know that you don't know what that's going to be now, hence the word mystery. But just doing your part, Immune Building Brigade, pick up the phone. Who could use a call? Who out there right now is pretty lonely or scared? And you can just be like, hey, I'm going to pray for this person and hopefully they'll get well. Or I can pick up this phone and be an answer to prayer, an answer to my own prayer, and really lift their spirits up. And so I'm going to take another break and let you sit with all of this. You could be gentle with yourself while you're emerging. But you can, and that's very important, being gentle with yourself, because again, this is all about optimal functioning for me. So anything that you can do to have yourself functioning more optimally is going to have a greater utility, be more effective than if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Now, it might seem like it's great because you're doing something, but if it's in that energy of freneticism or fear, it's going to be, the utility of whatever it is that you're doing is going to be compromised. So if you can do it well, oh my gosh. And the best way to do it well is to be he or she who emerges well, or, have a version of you come forth that's better than a prior version. So that seems to be the message that's coming out today. We need creative solutions right now. That's no doubt. And we need more of this, and really good quality connections too. The bigger thing about stopping for the sake of stopping is that I like actually welcoming our emerging self, because sometimes when we're stopping, initially, again, we're going to suck at it. So what happens is as we stop, we start hearing the noise, our own chatter. And mostly with meditation, they give you like a practice where you use some kind of mantra. And of course, that's a phrase that we absolutely love. But I believe that if you can just be like, I am going to support my emerging self, or I'm welcoming my emerging self. I am welcoming my emerging self. And then keep saying that every time there is some thought that comes in. You can entertain that thought, but it's not active enough as far as the stopping. So you can go back to, I'm going to, welcome my emerging self. That kind of phraseology, if you have some kind of quote, like if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to do a book about turning chaos into purpose. right? Which I think is really, really important. But the bigger thing is like when you're stopping, if you are organically, you see there's noise coming, please give yourself permission to say, I welcome in my emerging self. And then just keep doing that until it gets to the point of stillness. And then when there's stillness, finally the thoughts stop, then just enjoy it. You don't have to keep saying, I welcome in my newness, or I invite my emergence, or whatever terminology that really resonates with you. But do that because it's going to help you listen, right? It's going to help you get quiet, and it's going to distract all that noise that's happening. Because when you know that what you're listening to is a sovereign mystery that's looking to emerge, then you have to listen. And you want to, and you'll get the best guidance from that quiet, from that still point. So again, I choose to support my emerging mystery, my emerging self. I welcome in my emerging self. Whatever terminology you come up with, repeat that. And then when it gets quiet, let it get quiet. And then when the noise comes in, just goes back to, oh, I welcome in my emerging self. I welcome in my emerging self. And keep doing that because you don't know what that is. So you'll have to listen. And it actually quiets the noise. So there's one really important practice, and I hope that's helpful. If you are packing unconditional welcoming, then you're much better, believe it or not, at allowing, accepting that people are in a process and they are where they are. And the other thing is that we call that a gestation period. So just the same way that a baby won't come before the 9 months, as much as we would love for whoever to emerge quickly so we don't have to beat the living crap out of them, right? What's really happening is if they're not emerging, it's because they're not really ready to, and they have to struggle a little more or be a little more immature. We can call it a younger soul, whatever it is. But if you can unconditionally welcome that and literally be ready to unconditionally welcome anybody behaving the way they're going to inevitably behave, and that you welcome it, you're going to be optimizing your immune system and optimizing your functionality, and how you respond to it will be a lot better and a lot greater, and you'll have a greater utility, and you'll just have a lot more usefulness, and you'll be offering that higher level of service just by them being with you. It's not about time, like finding the time. It's like, let time find you. And if you're finding the time, great, then do it. It's just like creative endeavors, right? You could sit down and go, okay, I'm going to be creative. How often does that really work out well? And then all of a sudden you get up like I did, whatever it was, 3:30 this morning, whatever it was, in a fever going, oh, I got some ideas. I erase everything that I thought I was going to do on this Zoom call. And now I'm going to do and lead with what I led with today. And so, let it be revealed to you when that time comes. And if it's not coming, you could feel it in your body. If you're, this is the time where most people do need to, take a break, whether it's called meditation or nap or whatever. Go there, let it come, and then see if you're inspired organically. That's the big word here, to come up with other solutions. I guarantee you, this is a big one because this is so nonlinear, and that's how life really works, especially the creative juices, very, very nonlinear. When you stop for the sake of stopping, it really does start to enhance your creativity. It does boost your immune system. It makes you feel so much better that what ends up happening, you start stopping for creativity, and you start stopping to enhance your immune system. And I don't know why, but it seems to kind of diminish the overall effect. It's like all of a sudden in that rooting, you're attached to the outcome. It's less likely to happen. So if you can trust that you're going to get the next creative download, that's beautiful. Make yourself sure that you are sincere in that you're stopping for the sake of stopping. That is huge. And then you could be like, wasn't creative today. That didn't, nothing came in. I thought for sure I was sincere. And it was like, so maybe you just need stopping. And then one day it's like, oh my God, I just wrote a novel in that last 20 minutes. I know the beginning, middle, and end. I can't write fast enough. And really, as any creative will tell you, there's a lot of going with itness. So you're going to have to just really be gentle with your own gestation period and your own creative process, and don't press, because that's not stopping. So hope that helped. Health, and I love this, ready, is holistic. So you don't go, I don't have to eat well because I slept well. I don't have to exercise because I ate well. There are different aspects, and I really believe that what I'm presenting is a component that most people are deficient in. So if you can do the healthy practices beget healthy practices. One of the most important aspects of all of this is something that I call thrivopeutics. So if you do something thrivopeutically as opposed to therapeutically, for whatever reason, that shift attitudinally ups your immune system as well. And so that's a boost. That's also going to help. I love epigenetic influence. I think if there's certain music that really puts you in a nice state, maybe Zen, or people. I know that when I'm with certain people, many of you are here on this call right now, Bonnie and Amala, got to mention them, that I feel already just by being with them a boost. So you want to pay attention to what really works, what music, what kind of activities, and then we call that schedule your success. Make sure you're actually doing those things. And again, try to begin to integrate doing things more thrivopeutically than therapeutically. It's a little insidious, it's small, it might seem subtle, but it does make a difference. And I believe that if you begin looking at this going, hey, I just want to thrive. It's not like I'm really going to address symptoms. I want to thrive for the sake of thriving. Then you seem to address the symptoms, but not directly. It's hard to explain. We call it the surrender abundance phenomena. If you become unattached to changing a set of symptoms and you do all the things you can, including using a thrivopeutic approach instead of a therapeutic approach, oh my gosh, it's amazing how all these little strategies end up adding up. And it isn't any one echinacea. It's the combination that health or holistic health is a redundant term, that health is holistic. And so you've got to practice all the practices you can. Go back to the immune building brigade, pick up the phone call a couple of people whose immune systems are a little depleted that you might think I would like to boost, and see if that is not like echinacea on steroids. When you're pushed, you're going to see, they'll say the cream rises to the top, right? You're going to see where you are, and we call that a baseline. And talk about authenticating, right? Authentic leadership for the sovereign mysteries. To grow, you got to get a real honest baseline about where you're starting from, where you are right now. And so I wouldn't say just be positive for the sake of being positive. My sister will tell you that's not a very good practice. But if you can absolutely 100% for real want to improve and do better for the sake of your emerging mystery, and that's something that you can really be down with, and you could support that even though you don't know what that means, and that's something that you work on, that greaterness model or successions, and you stay the course, those little steps add up and you get the benefit. And you actually, here's the big one, you actually earn the benefit, which is where benefits come from. Otherwise, and I use this term a lot, you have entitlement. You just want the benefits without having to do the work. And so you really do the work by repeating it. And part of it is you observe what your baseline is, and you can observe that, wow, I'm really going down to this defeatist mindset. And it's like, good to know, right? So what do you want to work on? Well, I like to believe or have a little more faith that this is going to turn around. It's like, okay, let's unpack that. Let's see. Are there any, in the history of humankind, can we look at other times when things have happened and did it turn around, and will this apply? I guess I want to say thank you on that note, and stay well.